Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me as always is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, Mr. John Campia.
Buongiorno a tutti, everybody. Mi amici sono tristi. Italy lost. They just lost by like 5 minutes ago. I am officially checked out. I'm checked out for the rest of the day.
Uh-oh. We also have joining us AMC's production manager, Mr. Dennison.
I hope you're not completely checked out because you and me have to go down to San Diego.
Yes, we're driving to San Diego this afternoon.
AMC pad for Comic-Con.
Yes. I'll get back. I'll find my footing again.
And we also have a little thing called movie news to discuss, so no checking out. We also have AMC Movie News, Christian Harloff.
I have to tell you, I admire the commitment of the sadness in the Italian. That was great. What's up, guys?
All right, guys, let's get started. Things on the new Marvel film Ant-Man continue to progress. According to reports, the villains in the film have been revealed, and they will be the characters Darren Cross, an enemy of Ant-Man Scott Lang in the comics, and head of Cross Technological Enterprises, and his cousin William Cross, who becomes the villain Crossfire in comics. According to the Rap, House of Cards, and Non-Stop star Corey Stoll will play Darren Cross, while the Conjuring star Patrick Wilson will play his cousin William Cross. John, if the reports are true, do you like these characters and this casting?
I got to tell you, I really do. I think this is a really interesting way to go. Now, the way they're going to go with Cross in the report, it says like Cross is a certain type of supervillain, but they're saying that they may alter him a little bit to the point that he's actually kind of got similar abilities to Ant-Man, that he develops his own suit, and that's the way they're going to go. I'm not sure if I love or hate that idea. I'm just going to sit on that, let it marinate for a little bit. I love Corey, though. Like, Corey was one of the big reasons. Obviously, you have your biggest reasons why you love House of Cards, but Corey was one of the sub-reasons why I really like that show. I thought he brought something to that show that was a great counterbalance to all these powerhouse performers you had acting opposite him. So I'm really excited to see him take on this kind of a role. As far as Wilson goes, Wilson's one of these guys to me who's always been a little bit interchangeable with almost anything. And then, oddly enough, it was a cheap little horror film like The Conjuring, and he's done a couple lately too, that really made me go, this guy can carry a film. He can literally put a film on his shoulders and carry it. And so, to me, this is really good news for a project that's been, you know, getting the crap beat out of it a little bit lately with, you know, writers leaving and directors leaving and other directors coming on and then changing their minds. So this is good news, Dennis.
I like both of these actors. Corey Stoll, yeah, obviously House of Cards. He has that kind of government official employee look to him. I thought maybe he could be like a member of the S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that. And Patrick Wilson, I mainly know as Night Owl, the second Night Owl in Watchmen. I always feel like Patrick Wilson is like an actor that's up and coming that may eventually break out like into like a bigger, to become a bigger star. But in terms of the characters, I'm not too familiar with Ant-Man and his villains, and so these aren't well known to me, so I'm not too sure about them.
I mean, if the rumors are true, yeah, it's exciting because both these actors, pretty much everything you guys just said, they're fantastic. The two of them, they've accomplished a lot. I'd like to see, remember the question we had not too long ago about which good guys playing, that people that play good guys a lot see bad guys. Patrick Wilson, love to see him play someone a little bit more on that side. But the problems that you mentioned before, John, with the script and the director, that still is the main concern with me. Because they're rushing this thing out. It's going to come out really fast. I don't think Marvel's going to move it at all. It's going to come out when it's supposed to. So casting actors or not, it still has a big, big hurdle to jump with the tone of the film, the writing. So.
See, you know, I'm one of these guys who always say, because everybody's complaining, oh, they're rushing this film, they're rushing that film. I'm like, relax, it is not rushing. Well, with Ant-Man, it is a little bit. You are now, essentially, you're changing the entire direction and tone of the film, and yet wanting to maintain your same release date. They are rushing this. There's no doubt about it. Let's see if they can pull it off or not. All right, what's next?
The first trailer for the upcoming Robert Downey Jr. Robert Duvall film, The Judge, has hit the web. The Judge stars Downey as big city lawyer Hank Palmer, who returns to his childhood home where his estranged father, the town's judge, played by Duvall, is suspected of murder. He sets out to discover the truth and along the way reconnects with the family he walked away from years before. The Judge hits AMC theaters on October 10th. Christian, what do you think of the new trailer for The Judge?
I dug it. I dug it a lot, actually, because we've been talking about this one, and I've been saying it's one of my most anticipated that's coming out in the fall season because it starts off, this trailer, and what I've been worried about is, are we just going to see Tony Stark for the whole movie? And when it starts out, he's in the bathroom and he's talking about, oh yeah, it's Tony Stark in the beginning. I'm like, oh, we're going to see that again. And then it switches. You see him with his family dynamic with a kid, and then you see him with Duvall. That's why you're going to this movie, because you got enough of what this movie is about in this trailer. But what you really got was you're going to see this for the performances. You're going to see Downey, and you're going to see Billy Bob Thornton and Duvall, and it's going to be Vermiga. It's going to be a nice one. She's great. Yeah. So right off the bat with those actors and this storyline, I really like the way they set it up. It was almost like a successful Garden State. You know, the storyline, because I guess Zach Braff wasn't successful when he went home.
You know, the funny thing is, I'm glad you mentioned for me, because when you look at Up in the Air, everybody wants to talk about Kendrick and everybody wants to talk about George Clooney, and she gets forgotten. And she was amazing in that film. But I'm right with you. This trailer started, and I'm like, okay, just don't be Tony Stark. And the first 30 seconds, he's Tony Stark. Not just in the bathroom, but then back in court. Is this the first time your mom died together? Nope, first time. It is exactly a Tony Stark thing. But you're right, as the trailer unfolds, you start to get a sense of this narrative, and this narrative seems really compelling. Because let's face it, all men, I'm sure this is true of everybody, regardless of gender, but as a man, I can just speak to it from this point of view. We all have some issues with our fathers. We all have some issues with our dads. And I think for me, and me and my dad have a great relationship, I love my dad, but still even for me, when I see the tension on screen, it felt very real. Yeah. It felt like the tension when I've been mad at my dad or my dad's been mad at me. And there's something about that I instantly found really relatable, and then it just plugged into me, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so on that level alone, it emotionally got me into it. I still think we're just going to see Tony Stark sad, but that aside, the movie looks great. And it, you know, Robert Downey Jr., we forget, is an Oscar caliber actor. He's never won an Oscar, I don't think, but he's been nominated. I want to see him transcend that Tony Stark character, and maybe this is the film to do it. Dennis?
Honestly, I have a different take than you guys, because maybe my expectations were different, and I hadn't read a lot about this movie. I thought this movie was going to be some sort of John Grisham-style thriller that it was going to be like The Rainmaker, The Client, or The Firm, and then I kind of watched this trailer, and I'm like, oh, this kind of seems more like a father-son kind of sappy bonding thing, so I'm a little tentative about it. I mean, it can still be good. I'm still going to watch it, but I'm a little worried that it might go a little too saccharine for me. I
think that they're going to show in the second trailer that there's more humor in this, like not the same type in the first like 30 seconds, but there is a lighter tone as well. I mean, he's got to figure out just overall the tone of the movie is he's got to figure out if his dad murdered this guy or not. But there are lighter moments. It's not completely sappy the whole way through, from what I've heard of the movie.
Right, and it seems to me that as you get later into the trailer, those Grisham elements start to appear. You got Billy Bob Thornton, I'm going to bury your client. It's like, it's his dad. Yeah. All right, folks, so listen, we've reached that part of the show called Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Chris Lee's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Christian, Dennis, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
With Scott Derrickson officially on board to direct the upcoming Marvel film Doctor Strange, a report has come out that Marvel has hired Prometheus writer John Spates to write the script. Doctor Strange follows the adventures of Stephen Strange, mentioned in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, a brilliant neurosurgeon who, following a car accident, loses precision in his hands. His quest to regain his former skill sets Strange on a path to become the master of the mystic arts. Dennis, buy or sell Spates writing the script for Doctor Strange?
I tentatively sell it. With Spates, like, I actually personally liked Prometheus. I know a lot of people who didn't, and a lot of people who criticize the movie kind of point towards the script, which he was a big part of. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, like, there's like a 3-hour behind-the-scenes video on the Prometheus Blu-ray. And it goes over all the way from development to post-production of Prometheus, and it shows, because a lot of people blame Damon Lindelof for the script because he's the most famous name.
And he's the face they put in front of the movie too. Yeah.
But people don't know that Spates laid down all the groundwork for the entire script. Ridley Scott went in there, asked for a lot of rewrites and reworks, and so we don't know exactly what Damon Lindelof was responsible for, what Ridley Scott was responsible for, and what Spates was. And he doesn't have a resume. I mean, if you look, he's working on like 5 or 6 different things, but other than Prometheus, he doesn't have a single writing credit.
And that's the thing, right? I'm also going to sell this for now, like you, hesitantly, because you can look at Michael Bay and you can say, he's the most awful director ever because he did Transformers 3 and he did whatever else, but he's got other stuff on his resume too. Yeah, but he also did The Rock. I mean, he also did Armageddon, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. So he's not all bad, right? The problem with Spates is you're exactly right. There is nothing really else there in his resume to counterbalance that one kind of sour taste in my mouth, because I am one of those other guys. I didn't like Prometheus. I thought it was riddled with problems that I agree came from the script. And since that's the only thing we've got to judge him on for right now, I've got to hesitantly sell it till I see something better.
I'm buying it. I'm definitely buying it, and I'll tell you why. Because it gives me a lot of hope of what Doctor Strange is going to be. This sounds like a horror film so far, and it means
we got the right director. Look who they got to direct it.
That's what I'm saying. The direction of what they're going. That's why I was hesitant. Going back to Ant-Man for a second, I was hesitant when you hear like the Adam McKays were getting brought up, and even when Paul Rudd got casted as a comedy. But it made me start thinking that Marvel is shifting away a little bit than just the Avengers tone and the Iron Man 3 tone and all that. This is like you're going to have maybe a comedy with Ant-Man, and whether you like it or not, and now a horror type movie with Doctor Strange. So I like the writing, and I won't blame. I also didn't love Prometheus. But I blame Ridley Scott more than anything else, because like you said, Ridley Scott wanted the rewrites. A brand new writer, Ridley Scott saying, hey, I want you to change it, you change it. So Marvel is going to do the same thing, but they are clear with their tone of where they're going with this movie. So I'm actually very excited about this team up. I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
You're right, I mean, it was Scott Derrickson. Once they announced that Scott Derrickson was directing, because look, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy coming out, right? Clearly the biggest risk that Marvel's ever taken, but it still kind of fits in with the overall tone and feel of the Marvel Universe. This is a complete departure. So that'll be cool. And just as an aside, at what point, this is going to hurt me to say this, at what point do we stop giving Ridley Scott the benefit of the doubt? I mean, for a long time, it's like, oh, it's going to be awesome, it's going to be awesome. Oh, Robin Hood. It's going to be awesome, it's going to be awesome, it's going to be awesome. Oh, what was that?
The Counselor.
The Counselor. Oh, that happened. Oh, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, Prometheus. Like, at some point, like, Gladiator was a long time ago.
I think he's going to save himself with this Mars movie, but I think
it does look really good.
But I think that's going to be a lot of credit to Matt Damon, but it doesn't matter. He'll still get credit for it.
Yeah, he'll still get credit for it. All right, what's next?
Christian, way to go ruin Doctor Strange for me and say they're going horror. Your pal.
How about Thriller? Does that help?
No! Okay. A few days ago, it was reported that Star Wars actor Harrison Ford suffered an ankle injury when a door on the Millennium Falcon fell on him. However, it has since been confirmed that Ford actually broke his leg and required surgery. John, buy or sell that this new information means Star Wars Episode 7 will be delayed.
I sell that. I still think they're going to stay on thing. Now, granted, this is a different story. Breaking your leg, having to go in for surgery is a little bit different from hurt his ankle. But still, we were talking about this off screen the other day. Like, how many running around action scenes does Harrison Ford have in this movie? I'm going to bet that a lot of his scenes in this movie are sitting in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, sitting at some council table, sitting in the living room yelling at his daughter for, don't you get involved in all this Jedi nonsense. I think a lot of it is going to be fine. And you said you read something that he's actually going to try to go against the doctor's orders and actually get back on set sooner.
Yeah, that's the report that I think it was Huffington Post that had posted that. I just think that what they're going to do is they'll have him come in. They can wheel him in there, and he just says, "Get off my leg!" And he sits and he's sitting in front. You cut the bottom of it, and you just have him flying around the Millennium Falcon. But I believe this right off the bat because when they said he was out, they said 6 to 8 weeks. If you have a sprained ankle with a star like that, you'd probably say 3 to 4 weeks. But they knew they were preparing for the broken leg. They're going to move around the schedule, and he's going to be back. There's no way, and I'm going to do a guarantee, there is no way they move this off of December.
I think it's a safe guarantee, Dennis.
Yeah, I sell it as well. They can just shoot around him, you know? Like you guys said, like all the scenes that he's not running around, just shoot those, and then there's other things you can shoot while he heals up, and then push those scenes to
things
later
you were
half.
going to shoot in September, shoot those now, and then push off Harrison's running around stuff.
It's going to be a pain in the rear end, but it's not going to be it won't be something that's going to push him back to have to go to 2016.
And even though he's a significant role, he's not the main role, so they can shoot other stuff. It's not Indiana Jones.
Well, I don't know. We don't know that because the reports are that originally Michael Arndt had wrote about like the twins and everything else too, and when J.J. Abrams and Kasdan came in, they did make it more towards Han Solo's story. It's also why I think he's going to die, but that's another conversation.
All right. Well, listen, folks, we reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Look, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, we also do this show live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. For those of you watching us live, you can tweet in some live questions right now, and we'll save a little bit of time at the end of the show to take your Twitter questions. But for now, it's time for Mailbag. So, Chrisley, what do we got?
Kurt Clausen writes, love the show, have been watching for a few months since I first found you. I loved the Jedi Council show, and during a show, John said that they had done it as a 4-part series. Is there any chance that we will see Jedi Council return, either in its current format or even something bi-weekly or monthly?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, Christian, myself, and my buddy Paul Enns, who's the former director of Lucas Online and now the founder of Red 5 Comics, we did this 4-week thing called Jedi Council where we just took all this Star Wars news and talked about it because Jedi is our lives and that's all we know. So we did a 4-part series and we stopped, but we have got a lot of tweets and a lot of people writing asking us to continue. So Jedi Council will be back. I don't think as a weekly series. Maybe like every couple of months we'll do like a 2 or 3 week thing, or maybe we'll do it once a month. Maybe like the last Tuesday of every month we'll do it and just do like a 2-hour episode of all the Star Wars stuff. I don't know what the incarnation will be, but at some point it will return, as long as you still want to do it.
I do, and if you want to see weekly or you want to listen to weekly, I'm still doing my Far Far Away podcast, so that's weekly. But I would love to do a part, a 2-hour one, every couple of months if something big breaks, cast, and when they do trailers and titles, I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, somehow, some way, Jedi Council will be back. We're just trying to figure out what it's going to look like. All right, what's next?
Anton Jones writes, "Hello, AMC movie crew. Love the show. After having seen Captain America: The Winter Soldier and X-Men: Days of Future Past, I had to reshuffle my Mount Rushmore of superhero movies, which now consists of The Avengers, The Dark Knight, X-Men: Days of Future Past, and The Incredibles. With more higher quality superhero movies being made of late, I was wondering what superhero movies would you put on your Mount Rushmore? Thanks and keep up the great work."
Before Captain America: Winter Soldier and X-Men: Days of Future Past came out, my Mount Rushmore of comic book movies would be, in no particular order, Avengers, X-Men 2, The Dark Knight, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
Wow.
To be that would be my Mount Rushmore of comic book movies. And then Captain America: Winter Soldier came out and X-Men: Days of Future Past came out, and they both just kicked our asses. They were so good. And I have not had enough time to let all that marinate with me yet, to see if I am going to boot 1 or 2 of those movies off my Mount Rushmore to replace them with either Captain America or X-Men: Days of Future Past. Those movies are both so damn good. Like they just, both of them exceeded everybody's expectations, and they added something different to the comic book thing. This is really cool too, because we're seeing in comic book films the importance and the elevation of narrative more than we used to get. Before, comic book movies were just boom, 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 action, 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 fun, fun, fun. But we're seeing, like with X-Men, with Captain America, we're seeing a real emphasis being put on narrative that's blending in with all that other stuff we love so much. It's tough. So for today, it's still Avengers, Dark Knight, X-Men 2, Sam Raimi, Spider-Man 2, but I may change that next week. I don't know. Dennis, what would yours look like?
Mine is similar to Anton's list, except for I'd take Incredibles off and I'd put the first Iron Man there. So I have X-Men: Days of Future Past is on my Mount Rushmore now, after seeing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mine would change probably by the time this is over, but I have in my head right now, I would actually put Dark Knight, The Avengers, X-Men First Class is what would be there for me, and The Donner Superman 2.
That is a great one. Chris Lee is nodding in approval over there,
I
by the
am,
way.
because that's the only thing I would switch is First Class with The Incredibles, because I like The Incredibles, but First Class was epic.
Now,
and
the
it got
reason
me so
I would
excited.
disqualify The Incredibles is because they're not comic book characters. They are superhero characters, but they are not comic book characters. They're not based on a comic book. So that's the only reason I would disqualify that, because everybody knows how much I love The Incredibles, and it makes the issue even more complicated if we include that. All right, what's next?
Andy Nugent writes, "Hello, AMC Movie Talk. Love the show. With Tom Cruise's last few movies, Edge, Oblivion, and Reacher, not faring well at the box office, do you think a collaboration with Quentin Tarantino will revive his career the same way Tarantino has done for other actors, such as David Carradine?"
Well, the thing with Carradine is, let's step back. Tom Cruise's films have not bombed. Have they done really great and really exceptional? No. Edge of Tomorrow is really underperforming, especially considering how good that movie is. But it's not like all of his films have been bombing, and it's not like his career needs a big revitalization. If anything, I think Tropic Thunder did that for him already and put him back on the map with respectability for everybody. But the other thing is this. It's interesting that you say Tarantino. I can't think, other than John Travolta, which was 20 years ago, other than John Travolta with Pulp Fiction, I can't think of anybody's career that Quentin Tarantino has revitalized. I mean, with David Carradine, what did he do after Kill Bill? I mean, it's not like he was in Kill Bill and now suddenly he was, headlining all these other movies. That never happened. He didn't. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, he doesn't need revitalizing. Ving Rhames, it's not like that. Pulp did a lot for his career. Jamie Foxx, He's already big. One of the greatest actors on the planet right now, Christoph Waltz, who's won 2 Academy Awards with Quentin Tarantino. He can't get a decent lead in anything either. I just don't see how you think that Tarantino is a revitalizer of careers. It happened once. John Travolta, absolutely, no doubt. That dude, we wouldn't know John Travolta's name today if it wasn't for what he did in Pulp Fiction. But other than that, I can't think of any.
He did make Sam Jackson much bigger than he was.
You think Sam?
Yeah.
But once again, that was 20 years ago.
It was.
Bruce Willis in '94 wasn't doing. He was starting to have some Color and Night and some other movies. His movies were going there. You had the Die Hard movie, Die Hard 3, and then he had 2 stinkers right after that, and then he jumped into Pulp Fiction. I think it was 96, whenever it was. It pumped it up. So, not as much the same way it did John Travolta. But I think Quentin Tarantino could help out Lisa Turtle's career at this point. Like the fact he just puts you in a role because he fits it towards the personalities. To see Tom Cruise jump into a movie with Tarantino, what it also would do is do something that Michael Mann did with him in Collateral. Is that you'd hope to, I
don't think that movie gets enough credit.
Oh, it's one of the best.
Yeah,
it's
so
probably
good.
his best. Tom Cruise is also. But what Tarantino also did, he gives actors challenges. Like look at what Leonardo DiCaprio did in Django.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so I would love to see that. And the other reason why someone like Travolta and someone like Cruise would benefit is because of their star power. The other actors that we've mentioned before, Carradine and whatnot, not at the star level as these 2 guys, and especially not as Tom Cruise.
Right.
Yeah.
So to see Tom Cruise do a Tarantino movie, it'll absolutely help him. But I think, like we've talked about this a million times, it is the age of the director where they're more of the star than the actual star to sell box offices.
Right.
So he's going to team up with a top star like Tarantino. Sign me up, man.
I mean, I would love to see it, but I mean, hold your horses. Comparing David Carradine to Tom Cruise is totally way off. Like, one is not a star. He's never been a star. And you have Tom Cruise, whose last movies, besides Edge of Tomorrow, Oblivion cost $120 million, made $280. Jack Reacher's cost $60 million, made $220 worldwide. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, $150, made $700 million worldwide. Yeah. Not exactly a failing career. So I don't think his career needs to be revitalized.
No, exactly.
So I think the comparison just way off. And even Travolta, even when Travolta was Travolta, still wasn't what Tom Cruise is.
No,
it's more of a fun collaboration, I think, than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, would we like to see Tom Cruise in a Quentin Tarantino movie?
Right. Sure.
Absolutely. That would be great. Okay, folks, well, I said we would leave a little bit of time at the end of the show for your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do just that. Crystal Lee is our gatekeeper, so you need to suck up to her if you want your questions to put on air. So, Crystal Lee, what are people asking on the Twitter stream?
Tony DeFran wants to know if you guys have heard anything about Sony's plans to delay The Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Somebody tweeted that to me last night. I have not heard anything about that. Have you guys heard anything about it?
I heard grumblings about it. Nothing as far as fact, but
nothing solid.
Yes, I wouldn't put any weight behind it until we know more about that. So, what's next?
Raymond G, the unemployed Jedi, wants to know, do you guys think we'll ever get another big shark movie? Deep Blue Sea was amazing, or did Sharknado ruin it?
Well, here's the thing. We talked about this before when somebody once suggested a Jaws reboot, and it looks like they might actually do a Jaws reboot.
No.
But the thing, it's not only Deep Blue Sea, which was a lot of fun. It was a really terrible movie, but a lot of fun. Like, give me LL Cool J as a chef, preaching stuff in the water. Okay, sure, you got me.
That Sam Jackson death.
That's one of the most shocking, unexpected death scenes I've ever seen. Very, very funny. But there was that. Then there was that Shark Night. Remember that was out a couple years ago, where it's like sharks in the bayou or whatever. Wow. It's like 18 different types of sharks, and just people don't seem to be interested in shark movies now. And I don't think a slap your ass kind of movie like Sharknado, as fun as much of a little like a cult following it got because of the ridiculousness of it and all that kind of stuff, I don't think that will translate into the revitalization of shark movies. Maybe in 10 more years, maybe in 15 more years. I don't see the interest for it. What do you guys think?
I think they do something like Deep Water. Remember that movie? Like something along those lines could be terrifying. I don't want to see the big overdone shark movie anymore because, to no fault of it, whatever the movie is, you're going to always compare it to Jaws. I don't really care to see one.
Also, right now, there's a stigma attached to it. It's just like a B movie that's run on like the Sci-Fi Network type of thing. So not for a while.
All right, what's next?
Lowell Reynolds wants to know, why is DreamWorks Animation having such a hard time at the box office lately?
Are they? Really? I can't think. What was the last DreamWorks?
How to Train Your
It's How to
Dragon.
Train-
Well, How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, the thing about How to Train Your Dragon, though, I mean, it opened. It's a sequel opening against a really big other sequel in 22 Jump Street. The marketing for it wasn't great. As much as I really loved the first How to Train Your Dragon, the trailers for How to Train Your Dragon 2 didn't get my gears going. They didn't get me excited. And it certainly didn't suggest to me that the movie is as good as it actually is. And I finally went to go see it, and I lost my frickin' mind about how good this movie is. But let's not over-exaggerate it. It made $50 million on its opening weekend. That ain't bad, especially considering it opened against another big mega hit in 22 Jump Street that took in $60 million in its opening weekend. So I wouldn't worry too much about DreamWorks at this point.
Yeah, me either. It's going to have legs because what movies like 22 Jump Street and Maleficent and all these other big releases that come out have problems with is the next big release for the live action is next week. There are not a lot of kid movies, animation coming out for a bit. I think the next kids movie is Turtles, I guess, right? Is that the next big one? I don't even know what it is. But so I think it's going to have legs. I know as a parent, what do I take my daughter to see? Certainly not 22 Jump Street, so I'm going to be going to see How to Train Your Dragon 2 with her. So I think it's going to have legs.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised how many kids I see in these R-rated comedies that parents bring to.
It's dedication.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, legs. It has animated movies always have legs. It's going to keep going and going. That's how what was it? Despicable Me 2 was. It just kept going and going and going.
And the first How to Train Your Dragon didn't do that great in the theaters, but then legs on
Well,
Blu-ray
look at
and
the
everything
last
else,
one, Frozen, right?
Yeah.
Frozen, it's not like it set records for opening weekend or anything like that, but it just stayed and stayed. And now what is it, like the third or fourth biggest? It's in the top 10 biggest grossing film of all time.
Yeah, I think the highest Disney animation for sure.
Well, any animated film. It's the highest grossing animated film of all time, which is just crazy because it's a good movie. It ain't that good.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Though.
Legs.
There weren't a lot of movies for parents to take their kids to see in the theater. So, do you want to see Frozen now? Yeah, let's go.
Did you just say Frozen wasn't that good?
No, I said it's good, but it's not like top 10 all-time good.
Right, he's saying for the amount of money that it's made. Yeah, like that. Kind of, wow.
Come on, John.
I went to see Frozen twice in the theater.
it's a great
Okay,
movie.
let it go. Let it go. I mean, but yeah. Anyway,
And you liked it more than I did, actually.
I did. I kid you not. Before the film came out, that stupid Disney did a brilliant thing, and they released "Let It Go," that segment of the movie on YouTube for everybody to watch, and they never do that.
Right.
I kid you not. That song came out, released on YouTube. I'm getting ready to do the show. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting around in my underwear, and I turn on YouTube on my TV just to watch it, just to get an idea, because we'll probably talk about the movie later. I put that thing on repeat, and I watched it like 9 times.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I'm sitting there, grown-ass man in my underwear on my recliner singing, "Let It Go," like, just like this. It was
If you want to
pretty
see a
ridiculous.
great YouTube video, by the way, they put Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
I saw that.
Yeah, that one's hilarious.
Let it go, can't hold
That
it
one's
back
hilarious.
anymore. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
That
Watch
was a
it.
great impression.
Okay, let's do a few more.
Justin Matthew DeRoy wants to know, who in the Marvel Universe would you like to see face off Batman versus Superman style?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, here's the disadvantage Marvel's at. In the DC universe, you have your 2 undisputed kings. I mean, the DC universe, you have your trinity. It's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. But within that trinity, there are the 2 undisputed kings. That's Batman and Superman. I don't know that Marvel has your 2 undisputed kings of the Marvel universe. Like, some people may say it's a Spider-Man. Some people might say it's Captain America. Actually, you can make an argument for Captain America. But I'm not sure who you'd even have as those 2 logical choices.
X-Men versus Avengers. That's what I'd want to say.
Well, I mean, you're talking about collections and teams.
Collections. Like
I'd like to see Wolverine fight the Hulk.
One of the very first comic books I ever read in my life was a Wolverine versus Hulk.
And Hugh Jackman wants that. He said it in a few interviews that's the movie he really wants to do. Is he wants to fight Hulk? Yeah.
Nice.
And if you've ever read Old Man Logan,
Yes.
you really want to see Wolverine fight the Hulk. That'd be really cool. But as far if not just teams, I wouldn't mind seeing Iron Man and Captain America in our cinematic universe that we got going on. Because remember in the Avengers, like he keeps saying, put on the suit, put on the suit. I wouldn't mind seeing Captain America take Iron Man down a couple of notches. All right, what else we got?
Jimmy Panda says, I love what you guys do, and you're a bright spot in my day. My question is, will Marvel ever do a reboot of The Punisher?
I would not bet against it. Like I've said this before, I don't see how Punisher right now, with this universe at Feige and the brain trust over at Marvel have carefully crafted out, I do not see how a Punisher fits into it, into this PG universe, right? But he's still the Punisher. At some point, they're going to figure out something to do. And remember, they're doing something with him on Netflix or something like that. But if we're talking cinematic universe, I've got to believe at some point, whether they set up a separate cinematic universe that's kind of a darker, can edge it a little bit into the R-rated territory or not, I'm not sure. I don't know how they're going to do it, but you got to believe at some point they will, don't you?
I think so, and I think they're going to go the route you're talking about. It's create a different brand that's more adult-oriented and put like Daredevil, Punisher, and maybe some other comic book characters there where you can have the violence and the swear, profanity, and all that stuff.
I think it's a plan in the Netflix space to see how they do with. I think they're doing like a rated R type Daredevil already, so if you can do that with Punisher. I want to see, what was the name? I always messed up the name of what it was, Laundry Day with Thomas Jane.
Yeah, Thomas Jane. That was a nice little short.
It was a great, that was the best vision of the character of Punisher that I've seen so far, and it was nice to see the guy who played him in a movie that wasn't fantastic be able to bring that to screen in some form or another. I'd like to see that happen, and maybe if they're successful on Netflix, then there's no saying that we can't turn that into movies, and who knows what Doctor Strange will turn out to be, you know, and we can connect it into that universe.
All right, let's take two more really quick.
Oh my goodness, I just shut it down because you said one more.
Did I say one more?
You did. You're throwing me for a loop today.
Sorry
but it's
about
okay.
that.
Don't worry about it. I got it. Walker wants to know, is there a director with a perfect track record?
Nolan.
Yeah.
Nolan, you go back to, I still think his most underappreciated, undervalued, and underviewed movie, Insomnia. Insomnia is, I think, awesome. If you want to see what a director can do and get the best out of like some aging superstars, go watch Insomnia, like Robin Williams, Al Pacino. It's a great film. Of course, you're talking Memento, you're talking The Prestige, you're talking Inception, you're talking, obviously, the Batman films. I mean, at this point, Nolan has not swung and miss.
I got one. It's a shorter career, but Affleck. Affleck has been
Gone Baby Gone, The Town, and Best Picture at Argo. Yeah, I mean, that's another one. Des,
yeah, it really just depends on what you mean by perfect track record. In the sense of, did they make a clunker or a stinker? Yeah, Nolan, you know. But then you have someone like, for me, like Scorsese. I don't love all of his movies. He's my favorite director, but I still like all of them. So to me, is that a perfect record? So it really depends on what you're looking at.
All right, last one. Now this is the last one. I promise.
Now I can close it down. Austin Najjar wants to know, what are the chances we see a Sherlock 3 with RDJ?
Good. They've been trying for a while to get this going. I know they came close to getting it off the ground. Then they ran into a scheduling problem with Robert Downey Jr. Jude Law says, "Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to say we're ready to go." It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know if in the next 2 years, but maybe like 2017. Have you guys heard anything different?
Yeah, I have actually, because I've got a buddy who actually works at Silver, and I've talked to him about it, and they're ready to go with it. They're waiting for Robert Downey Jr. He wants to do it. It'll happen.
All right. Well, folks, that'll do it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great movies playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and your movie ticket information. And look, if you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video, and you'll find links to our iTunes RSS feed so you can get our podcast and listen to us on the way to work. And if you haven't done so already, take a second and click on that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. And make sure you click the thumbs up button as well. It's a good way to tell us and everybody else you like the work that we're doing here. I want to thank the guy sitting at the table with me. First of all, he's about to sit in a car with me for 3 hours to go to San Diego, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero and on YouTube, ThinkHeroPro.
Joining me on the Comic-Con Masters of the Web panel, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you?
You can find me right here, YouTube, Schmoes Know, and at my Twitter, at Christian Harloff.
And our gatekeeper today, Miss Chrisley Kennedy. Chrisley, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Chrisley and here on YouTube, The Movie Chick, 2Ks.
And you can find me on all the various social media networks just at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us today, guys. I now commence with my day of mourning for the loss of Italy. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, next time, my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until then, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.